This is a Storm Track 7 severe weather alert.
Good evening. I'm Storm Track 7 meteorologist Kiel. Just breaking into the Weather Center, we do have a tornado warning in effect for portions of Dubuque, Jackson, and Jones County, and this is a radar indicated tornado. So we are going to stay with you with this warning until at least 8:30. Just a few minutes ago, Mark Schnackenberg and I were looking at the radar, and we did notice that there was a circulation tightening up here near Worthington, or just south of Worthington there in Dubuque County. So this new tornado warning does include Cascade, Lamont, Otter Creek, as well as Zwingle. Good news, Dubuque, you are not in this warning. So Dubuque is just seeing some heavy rain right now, not included in the tornado warning. So this again is going until 8:30. In addition to the potential of a tornado, this is radar indicated, so it hasn't been spotted. But in addition to the potential tornado, we do have the potential for perhaps some penny-sized hail. So I wanted to take a look at the winds inside the radar. This is what we call the velocity, and basically we're looking for red and green coming together. So the green that you see on the radar are the winds inside the storm that are going toward that radar site in Davenport, and then the ones that are going, or I should say the red is going away from the radar. So we've got those coming together, and that's where we have that rotation or that potential tornado. And right now that rotation looks to be right over Hawkins Road and near Farley Road, and this continues to track off to the east-southeast at about, it looks like 35 miles per hour. So if you are in Dubuque, Jackson, or Jones County, Cascade, Lamont, Otter Creek, as well as Zwingle, please do seek shelter immediately. Your lowest level of your home, which for most of you is the basement. If you don't have a basement, consider going to the bathroom, take something to protect your head, and stay away from windows. That is the most important thing for potential flying debris. So if you're in Cascade, you need to head to your shelter place right now. That storm is just off to your northwest, and I'm actually going to put a track on this here at the strongest part of the storm, which again is just to the northwest of Cascade. Again, this continues to track southeast at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. So within the next 7 minutes, Cascade, this potential tornado will be right overhead. Bernard, this is coming at 8:04, Crabtown at 8:22, and Andrew at 8:33. So if you are in any of these locations, you need to take shelter for this potential tornado. The latest scan of Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, or the latest few scans, have indicated that potential of a tornado. So once again, I'm going to zoom into the velocity. We have a better scan coming in here just to the north of Cascade. So it looks like the northern portion of this warning right near Farley Road, and it looks like Coke Road. That's where we do have that rotation and that possible tornado. So if you are in these areas, please do seek shelter immediately. Again, you need to be in the lowest level of your home. Basement is the best place to be here during the tornado. Potential tornado. So this area that I circled right here is where we would have that tornado if it is actually a tornado. But right now it has been radar indicated. So we are on air for this tornado warning until at least 8:30. I'm going to go back to the radar here and zoom out just a bit, because we do have a few more warnings to tell you about. The warning in Blackhawk County is going to expire at 8 o'clock. So the storms that are right over LaPorte City have the potential of producing some 60-mile-per-hour winds as they move through, along with that heavy rain. Benton, Buchanan, and Lynn County, we have that severe thunderstorm warning for penny-sized hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds, and that continues here until 8:15. So we are going to put a track on this storm as it continues to make its way southeast. And again, this one's moving at about 35 to 40 miles per hour as well. This is heading towards Cedar Rapids. So Cedar Rapids, it'll be in your neck of the woods at about 8:45. So that's about 50 minutes from now. Vinton heads up 8:07, Center Point 8:13, Central City at 8:22, Alburnett at 8:25, and the Cedar Rapids metro area at about 8:44. No tornado expected out of this line of storms, but there is that potential for some penny-sized hail and some 60-mile-per-hour winds. We also have a pretty strong storm right now into portions of Tama County. I'm going to put the radar in motion so you kind of see the direction these storms are going. That rain right now is over Traer and Tama and the Toledo area. Just some heavy rain, maybe some gusty wind up to 30 or 40 miles per hour. But the main reason, actually just got a new warning there for that line as it continues to make its way southeast. Or that was an update to that warning with the potential for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So the National Weather Service is continuing that warning here until 8:15. So we'll put this back in live mode note and go back to our tornado warning, which is why we are on the air. We do have that tornado warning in effect for southern portions of Dubuque County, including Bernard and Cascade. We have portions of Jackson County as well as northeast portions of Jones County under this tornado warning until 8:30. And as you can see on your screen, this is a radar indicated tornado. So that means that the radar is indicating some rotation, but we have not had confirmation of a tornado that is actually touching the ground. So the latest scan of the velocity or the winds inside the storm, it's not looking as impressive, which is obviously some good news. But if we did have that tornado, it would be just to the north of Cascade. So it looks like it's riding right toward the Bernard area. And if I go back here a couple scans, you can kind of see the movement of that potential rotation. It's not looking as impressive or as tight as what it was just a few minutes ago, which may kind of showcase that this storm is weakening just a bit. But sometimes these storms do go through cycles where they kind of wrap themselves up and get a little stronger as far as that rotation goes, and then becomes a little more broad. So if you're in the Cascade area, if you're in Bernard, please do stay in your shelter place. Monticello, just to be safe, I would stay in your shelter place as well and head to the lowest level of your home. Again, within this storm, we also have the potential of 70-mile-per-hour wind gusts, as well as potentially some penny-sized hail. The hail we're not too concerned about, but we are definitely going to be concerned for that potential of a tornado, as well as the 70-mile-per-hour winds. So I'm going to go ahead and put another track on this just to show you where that potential tornado will be. Again, Cascade looks like this is going just north of town. I'm going to take this into Jackson County a little more, but it'll be in your neck of the woods here in just about 4 minutes. Fillmore at 8:01, Bernard at 8:08, Zwingle at 8:15, Otter Creek rather at 8:25, and Cottonville there right around 8:31. So again, this is for a potential tornado. So if you are in your home, of course you want to go to the basement or lowest level of your home. If you don't have a basement, an interior room is the best place to be with no windows. So if you have a bathroom without windows, take yourself, take the kids to the tub, take something to protect their head just in case there is flying debris. You just want to stay away from windows. That is going to be the key here to keep yourself safe. If you know anyone out on the road, I'm sure that they've already gotten the wireless alert on their cell phone. Make sure that they can find the nearest home immediately I should say not the nearest home, but the nearest shelter place, whether it be a grocery store. Just always know anywhere you go where that shelter place is. So again, that tornado warning is in effect here for portions of Dubuque, Jackson, and Jones County until about 8:30 in the evening. So back on Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, I want to take another scan of the velocity here. And again, the velocity is the wind inside the storm. This is where we look to pick up some of the rotation. And I just want to point out a couple of things. If we did have the rotation here on the radar, or if we did have a tornado, it would be between Farley Road and North Cascade Road, that area that I circled right there. So the green is the wind inside the storm that is going toward the radar site in Davenport. The red is the winds going away. So that indication of the different directions of the wind does indicate that rotation. So again, between North Cascade Road and Farley Road, just to the north of Cascade and northwest of Fillmore, that's where that potential tornado is. But I also want to focus your attention here just off to the west near Hopkinton along Iowa 38. This is an area where we might see that potential of some of those gusty winds, potentially 60 to 70 miles per hour. So where you see that really bright green, almost white shading, that's where we likely have that potential of a gusty, damaging wind of 60 to 70 miles per hour. So an update here on that tornado warning. You just kind of saw that flashing. It's still radar indicated, so it was capable of producing a tornado located over Cascade or 20 miles northeast of Anamosa. And again, this is moving off to the southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So again, if you're in Bernard, Otter Creek, Zwingle, Cascade, you all need to be in your shelter place right now for that potential of tornado. So let's go ahead and pull up Max 2 if we can, Jeff, and we'll go over some tornado safety tips. We just had that on the screen a couple of minutes ago, and there's your tornado safety house. So if you're inside your house, again, we've got some good areas to be. If you're in the hall, if you can get into a hallway, if you don't have a basement, it's probably a good place to go. If you are hiding in a bedroom or in a kitchen or in a living room, those areas tend to have windows. So you want want to stay away from windows. So those areas in the red are not the best place to be. So if you can get into a bathroom, get into a hallway, cover your head, and make sure you bring a helmet or something if you have that around. Make sure you protect your children as well. But obviously the best place to be during a tornado situation is in the basement. So if you're in this warning right now, in this tornado warning for portions of Dubuque, Jackson, and Jones County, please head to your shelter place right now, as this is a potential tornado, especially on the north side of this warning. So we mentioned that this storm is pretty much over Cascade right now. Again, we're looking at the wind inside the storm, and there is the potential for that 60 to 70 mile per hour wind gust between Hopkinton and Cascade, just to the north of Monticello. So this is an area that we're concerned for some straight line winds. The area of concern for the tornado is going to be just to the north of Cascade and Fillmore here, again between Farley Road as well as North Cascade Road, and that rotation looks to be even tighter here just to the west of Roller Coaster Road and right over Kearney Road as well. So if you are in this area right now that I have circled, this is likely where that potential rotation is. So we're going to continue to stay on air with this warning. Again, that tornado warning is in effect until 8:30 here for portions of Dubuque, Jackson, in Jones County. So I'm going to continue to repeat myself here for people who are just tuning in, probably getting the alert on their phone, looking for some more information. I'm going to put the radar on here, and the problem here with spotting this storm, obviously we do not want you to go out and spot it, but if there are any trained storm spotters around, they're probably going to have a hard time finding this tornado, if there is one, because of the fact that we do have a lot of heavy rainfall. And this storm producing a potential tornado in Dubuque County is part of a line of storms that extends off to the west toward Buchanan, Blackhawk, Benton, as well as Tama County. We'll put a loop here on Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, and you can see that we do have that potential of those storms continuing to track to the east, and it looks like we just got another warning for southern portions of Tama County. So we'll go ahead and zoom down into that one. And this storm in particular has the potential to get up to nickel-size hail as well as 60 mile per hour winds. And this one, it's kind of along that cold front. So along that cold front, we have a wind shift. So that's where we have the potential of a tornado. But right now, I don't really see too many indications of rotation. If it were, it would probably be just to the north of Grinnell there. But extreme southern portions of Tama County do need to be aware that there is a potential severe thunderstorm here off to the west of them. So we're going to continue to keep a close eye on these storms. Zooming out here to a wider view of the Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. Waterloo, your severe threat is over. Decorah, West Union, Waverly, New Hampton, severe weather threat is over. In fact, the severe thunderstorm watch is being dropped in many of those locations, but obviously our main concern right now is this tornado warning for portions of Dubuque, Jackson, as well as Jones County. Again, if you're in Cascade, stay in your shelter place. You're likely hearing a lot of heavy rain right now overhead. Again, this is a radar indicated tornado. So once again, I'm going to take a look at the wind inside the storm. And again, we continue to see this thing kind of cycle a bit here just to the north of Cascade, north of Fillmore, as well as north of Bernard. So right around Cascade Road is where we do have that rotation, and just kind of an updated scan there, right over Fillmore and Highway 151. This is where we do have that rotation. Again, it's not a tight rotation, but it's enough to cause concern for this tornado warning. So if you are in this area, if you know anyone who might be near Highway 151, maybe give them a call and tell them to get off the road and head somewhere inside. Inside is the best place to be. You don't want to be in your car. You want to be inside. Find a grocery store, a gas station. I know a few years ago we had a reporter go inside a gas station's cooler. That was the safest place to be. So if you're in any of these areas, do stay in your shelter place. Not only do we have that potential of a tornado, but really around Cascade, I'm sure you're getting hammered right now with some really, really strong wind, as we do have the velocity showing that strong wind right over Cascade and Highway 151. So between Monticello and Cascade, things are pretty nasty here right now. So going back to the radar, we'll zoom things out just a bit, and I'll put another track on this, and I'll kind of do a couple of tracks here on this line of storms. First, we'll do the tornado warned part of the storm. Monticello officially not in this tornado warning, but this is heading heading off to the east and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So this storm potentially could clip the Dubuque Regional Airport on the south side of town. Bellevue around 8:36, Springbrook at 8:46, and then around Preston at 9:05. So again, this is a radar indicated tornado for portions of Dubuque as well as Jackson and Jones County. Again, in Jones County, this does not include the Monticello area. Speaking of Monticello, you're probably getting some gusty wind right now. This area of storms with gusty wind is tracking off to the southeast as well. This will be around Anamosa at 8:13, Olin at 8:32, North Cedar High School at 8:49, Calamus-Wheatland High School at 8:57, and Townsend Wildlife Area at just about 9 o'clock. So again, this is not the tornado warned part of the storm. This is just some general thunderstorms moving through. And we continue with that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Buchanan, Lynn, and as well as Benton County until I believe it is 8:15 there for 60-mile-per-hour winds. So Urbana, Center Point, Vinton likely getting in on some really strong wind right now. We'll go ahead and put a track on this storm, as this is likely going to impact Cedar Rapids here within the next half hour to 45 minutes. So in just a couple of minutes, this storm will be right over Vinton. So if you're in Vinton, treat this as a tornado. Head to the lowest level of your home, protect your head, and make sure you're just staying away from any windows. This will be in Center Point at 8:11, Central City at 8:22, Marion at 8:37, and the Cedar Rapids Metro at about 8:39. The storms in Tama County are not severe. There's a sliver just west of Belle Plaine that is under a severe thunderstorm warning, and that's in portions of Jasper and Poweshiek County. And then we just have some general thunderstorms there. It looks like a strong one right now over Sigourney. And that storm is not severe right now, but could contain some pretty heavy rainfall as well as some gusty winds. So we're going to zoom right back into the tornado warning for Jackson, Dubuque, and Jones County. This tornado warning once again goes until 8:30. I'm going to take another look at the velocity, and I tell you what, you know, in addition to the possibility of a tornado, there's likely some really strong wind right over Cascade, potentially doing some damage. So if you're in Cascade, please do stay in your shelter place. We do have that rotation right now for the potential tornado right over Fillmore and Highway 151. So if you're in Fillmore, Bernard, Cascade, Otter Creek, stay in your shelter place. If you're not there yet, please head there now, because this is a particularly dangerous storm. And in fact, we just got a report out of Dubuque County. An emergency manager is reporting a 55-mile-per-hour wind gust in Cascade. That was reported at 8:02, so just about 3 minutes ago. So as I was mentioning, in Cascade, that's where we do have some very gusty wind, and that's indicated by that very bright green and bright white shading there. That's probably where we have 50 to 60-mile-per-hour wind gusts, but it's this area here near Bernard and Fillmore that we're most concerned here for that potential of a tornado. Again, this is the wind inside the storm, and this really helps us, especially when looking at the radar, because you don't have a classic hook echo, because this is probably rain wrapped. There is a lot of heavy rain ongoing right now in Cascade, in Fillmore, in Bernard. So this is not going to be a storm where you're going to be able to see a tornado if there is one there. And this is why you just need to take shelter. Do not go to the window and look outside. Just make sure you are protecting yourself and protecting your family. I'm going to zoom this out here real quick, and we will show you that there is some heavy rain and lightning ongoing in Dubuque, especially on the south side of town. Things off to the west toward Manchester and Independence are looking a little bit better as well. We'll go ahead and take a look at our Storm Track 7 live weather network camera there in Dubuque. And you can definitely notice that we do have some strikes of lightning as well as some heavy rain. And luckily, Dubuque is not in that tornado warning, but stay inside still. Lightning is just as dangerous. We've had a couple of deaths this year from lightning strikes, so you never want to be outside in any of this situation. And I know that, you know, a lot of people are probably out there with Dad hanging out today. Make sure if they're out ahead of this storm that they do head inside, as just general thunderstorms are dangerous enough, especially during the summertime when people are out and about. We'll go ahead and go back to Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. And you can see we kind of have a line of storms that continue to move through, basically from Dubuque County all the way back to Tama County. And these are continuing to track off to the east and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. I will give the all clear here for Waterloo, Grundy Center, areas off to the north toward Olwine, West Union, Decorah, Lansing, likely not going to get much in the way of any more storms. There have been a few funnel clouds in southern Minnesota just right along that front. So if you're traveling a little farther north, just keep that in mind here as we head over the next couple of hours as these storms continue to track off to the east and southeast. So we are going to continue on air with you until at least 8:30 for this tornado warning in southern portions of Dubuque County, not including Dubuque, as well as portions of Jackson County and northeast portions of Jones County. There's a lot of lightning with this as well, indicating just how strong this storm is. We'll go ahead and take a look at the velocity inside the storm. This is the wind inside the storm, and you know, if you've watched this coverage before, you know that we talk about the reds and the greens going together. The green is the wind inside the storm going toward the radar site in Davenport. That's obviously to the south. The red is going away, and right here we've just kind of got a little bit of a tightening there just south of Highway 151, just east of Cascade. That is where we potentially do have a tornado ongoing, and I'm going to zoom in a little bit closer. This is pretty much over Bernard as well as Washington Mills, right over McCarthy Road and McDevitt Lane. So if you are in these areas, stay in your shelter place. This is where we potentially do have a tornado. This is still radar indicated, so this has not been spotted. We've not heard any reports of damage. However, just to the southwest of this rotation, right around County Road 061 in Cascade, that's where we have had some reports of at least 55-mile-per-hour wind gusts. These potentially could go up to 60 or 70 miles per hour. So again, even if there's not a tornado, there's definitely going to be some gusty wind, maybe a little bit of hail, but I think that hail is going to kind of get washed up in that rain as well. So if you're in these areas, still stay in your shelter place. Again, we do not want anyone to be outside during this. Do not try to go spot the tornado. Because you're not going to see anything due to the fact that there is so much heavy rain ongoing, as well as quite a bit of lightning. So you're likely seeing a lot of lightning here to the south of Dubuque. Going off to the west, as I mentioned, Monticello is not officially in the tornado warning, but you are getting some pretty gusty thunderstorms right now. Just north of Cedar Rapids, skies are likely darkening as we do have those storms off to the north. So if you're traveling on I-380 or want to travel north on I-380, or as a matter of fact, if you're in Waterloo wanting to travel south, maybe give it a little bit until these storms do clear out, because there is the potential here for some damaging wind gusts. Go ahead and put a track on this. This storm right now is pretty much over Vinton and Center Point and continues to track off to the southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So this is, again, over Center Point right about now. Central City, it'll be in your neck of the woods at 8:21. Alburnett, 8:23. Marion at 8:39, and Cedar Rapids again right before 8:45. So this gives you a lot of time to prepare, maybe go take in any lawn furniture that you might have, because that could easily be blown around by these 50 to 60 mile per hour wind gusts. And these storms do mean business as they track off to the east and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So real quickly, I did want to show you the severe thunderstorm watch. To the north, it is until 9 o'clock. To the south, it's until 11 o'clock, and you can already see that Grundy, Butler, and Bremer County have been taken out of that watch due to the fact that the cold front has now passed. So as this cold front continues to march eastward and that severe weather threat does come to an end, the National Weather Service will be cutting away at these watches. But in the meantime, we still have these strong thunderstorms and severe thunderstorms that are continuing to march eastward at a pretty good clip. So we're going to kind of get you up to speed here on this tornado warning. Schnack, have you seen any reports on Twitter or anything like that? The
only reports we're getting that I've seen are up between 50 and 60 miles an hour, and they're in around the Cascade area.
Okay, and when we look at the winds on the velocity, we can definitely see that that very bright green that you're seeing. That is indicative of some very strong wind.
And still the tightening around the Bernard area that is, you know, a little bit more of a concern, is somewhat concerning. Near Bernard, or just southeast of Bernard.
Yeah, right there along Bernard Road, Higginsport Road. That's where we do have that rotation.
I haven't seen any reports of a funnel or a tornado.
All right, so we actually just got a report, Schnack, of a tornado reported near the Dubuque-Jackson County line. So this is right around Bernard right now. So this is now an observed tornado. So if you are in Bernard, stay in your shelter place. If you are in Zwingle, Lamont, Otter Creek, there is now an observed tornado from the Dubuque County Emergency Management, potentially doing some damage. So this is now a confirmed tornado instead of an indicated tornado, but as we've been telling you here the last several minutes, there has been that rotation that has been ongoing here probably for the last 15 or 20 minutes. So there you see the update. It is an observed tornado right near Bernard. Confirmed located over Bernard or 15 miles south of Dubuque, and this is moving off to the east and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put this back in velocity mode so you can kind of see where that tornado is. I'm going to circle it once again. This is right near the Dubuque County and Jackson County line, and I'm going to do a cone-shaped track on this as it moves off to the east and southeast. I'm going to take it outside of the warning. So this will be in Washington Mills at 8:16, so that's about 3 minutes from now. Zwingle at 8:24. Otter Creek, we've been mentioning you quite a bit, 8:27. It'll be in Lamont at 8:30, Cottonville at 8:33, and approaching the Mississippi River near Bellevue at about 8:47. So again, this is an observed tornado from Emergency Management, no longer radar indicated. This is potentially doing damage on the ground near Bernard, tracking off to the east at 35 miles per hour. So if you're in any portion of this polygon or even surrounding it, because sometimes these storms, these tornadoes, they can kind of switch back and forth left and right as they continue to go through their cycles. So you just need to stay in your shelter place. This is likely going to be covered with some rain as well, but we did get an emergency manager that did report this tornado observed near the Bernard area. And yes, now it is doing some damage. So again, we do have now reports of some damage here near Bernard on the Jackson County as well as Dubuque County line. So I'm going to zoom in really, really tight here so you can see some roads. Luckily, it's heading into a more rural area as it crosses into Jackson County. But right now, around McDevitt Lane, it looks like Maloney Road, Washington Mills, Higginport Road. That's where we do have that report of that tornado, and we are now getting some photos now. Where's that photo located? But where can we get that?
Oh, that's on my. I'm gonna have to. Is there somebody in the booth that can get through my Twitter account that I could retweet that? No. Okay. So I'm gonna give me a half a second.
Okay. So we now have a again observed tornado near Bernard, and that is moving off to the east at about 35 miles per hour.
And that's near Higginsport and Faust Road.
Okay, and we were just mentioning those roads. So Higginsport and Faust Road. So here's Higginsport Road right here, and you know this is why we like to get to real-time photos, because this is exactly where that couplet is right on our radar, right over Higginsport Road, just to the east of Bernard and north of Washington Mills. So if you are in this area, this is where we have had a report of an observed tornado, and the National Weather Service does report that this tornado is doing damage. So if you are in this area, you need to stay in your shelter place. It looks like this is heading right toward Lyons Road as well as Faust Road. So if you're in these areas, especially north of Washington Mills, this is where you do need to stay in your shelter place right now. So again, this is an observed tornado here for portions of Dubuque and Jackson County. Again, this is an observed tornado right near the Jackson County and Dubuque County line. Logan, if we can have you go down to the booth, please. That would be great. So we're going to have one of our producers pull up some pictures for you downstairs so we can get some actual pictures of that tornado for you. But we have had reports of a tornado doing some damage here near Bernard in southern Dubuque County heading into Jackson County. So again, we did get that report near Higginsport Road rather, and Fagan Road of that tornado. So this is where that tornado would be located. Right here where we see the reds and the greens meeting. Keep in mind, the red is the wind going away from the radar site in Davenport. The green is going toward. So you have those different directions in the wind that is leading to that rotation, and it's tight enough to where it has produced that tornado doing damage here in southern portions of Dubuque County heading into Jackson County. And again, with this tornado, it is a lot of heavy rain with it as well. So again, you want to stay in your shelter place if you are in southern Dubuque County right over Bernard. This is where we do have that report of a tornado that has been doing some damage, and this is heading into Jackson County. So Zwingle, Otter Creek, you need to stay in your shelter place. In fact, Zwingle, I'd be a bit concerned right now as this line or this rotation is continuing to track right towards you. So I'm actually going to put another track here on Higginsport Road where that tornado has been observed. It will be in the Zwingle area at about 8:25, so that's roughly 7 or 8 minutes from now. In Lamont, it'll be there around 8:31. So if you are in these areas, stay in your shelter place. This now has had a history of doing some damage near the Bernard area, and it continues to track off to the southeast at 35 miles per hour. So do not wait for these specific times to go to your shelter place. Don't think like, oh my gosh, I have the possibility of seeing this tornado for a few more minutes. Let me go outside. Don't do that. You need to head inside, lowest level of your home. Basement is obviously the best place that you can be right now. You want to head to the lowest level. If you don't have a basement, that would be an interior room, somewhere where there are no windows. That's the key. You want to stay away from the windows. Take something to protect your head. If your kids have a bicycle helmet in the garage, maybe have that handy, have them wear that just in case there is flying debris. Because again, we have had reports here in southern Dubuque County, northern Jackson County of that potential or of that observed tornado. So again, this latest update does show that the rotation is now moving directly towards Zwingle. Does not look as tight as what it was, but I think between Higginsport Road as well as it looks like it's Bennetville Road, that's likely where we have that rotation here, pretty much on the west side of Zwingle. So if you're in Zwingle, stay in your shelter place. This tornado is directly overhead just about. This is going to continue to track off to the southeast and will be in Zwingle here within the next 5 or 6 minutes. So keep in your shelter place, lowest level of your home. That would be the basement. If you do not have a basement, head to the bathroom, head to a hallway. Maybe take shelter in your bedroom closet, just somewhere that does not have windows. That is going to be the key here as you get through this tornado warning. That does continue here until 8:30. So we got about 12 more minutes for that. Real quick, we're going to take a wider view here of the radar. I'll put this back in reflectivity mode. You can see the very heavy rainfall. You can see in our northwestern counties, we're starting to see that rain come to an end. We do have a new warning to bring you, and this is that storm I was talking about in Kiel County. This is just to the east of Sigourney, and it is heading toward Keota and Washington. So if you're in Ainsworth, Crawfordsville, Keota, and Washington, seek shelter right now for a severe thunderstorm capable of 60-mile-per-hour winds, as well as hail up to the size of quarters. We just got a report of some wind damage in Gary Owen, that is just south of the Dubuque County line in Jackson County, of some power lines and buildings that are down near McDevitt Lane, which we talked about. So I'm going to go back up here to that storm in Jackson County as well as Dubuque County, and we were just talking about McDevitt Lane and Gary Owen right there. This is the area that I'm about to circle that does have report of some damage. There's several buildings down, several power lines down as well. So this is going to be the area that has had the damage from that tornado. So that is reported from emergency management there just south of Bernard and heading into the Gary Owen area. So again, if you are in Dubuque County, southern portion of Dubuque County, Washington Mills, Zwingle, heading into Jackson County, Lamont. This is a very dangerous storm that now has had a history of producing damage in the way of some buildings damage as well as some power lines damage. So you really need to take this storm seriously, as it now has had a history of producing that damage. And right now, looking at the velocity, I'm having a hard time really picking out where this tornado might be. It's luckily looking like it's weakened just a bit, but I think right around Bennetville Road and around the Washington Mills Road area, that is where we do have that possible tornado right now. So if you're in these areas, Washington Mills, Zwingle, Zwingle looks like you're going to get directly hit by this tornado. So please do stay in your shelter place. Do not try to go outside and look at this storm. We already have emergency management on this storm. They are trained to safely view this storm to keep you safe as well. And that's what we are doing. We are relaying that information from emergency management to you. And what we're relaying right now is that we have had pictures and confirmed damage coming in from this tornado into portions of Dubuque County heading into
Go ahead,
Jackson County. So if we can go ahead and pull up this picture right now. This is the tornado that we were just watching in portions of Dubuque County as well as into Jackson County. This is near Higginsport and Foss Road in Bernard, and you can clearly see that tornado in the distance. It's kind of hard and looks like a hilly area with some of that tree line up out there, but we have had report of this doing damage. So this is a tornado that we are on air for that is currently probably over Zwingle right now. If we can go back to Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, we actually did just get an updated run of the velocity, which is the wind inside of the storm. So just west of Lamont, right over Zwingle, right over Highway 61. This is where we do have that tornado that you just saw on your screen here just moments ago. It's had a history of doing the damage near Bernard. So if you are in Zwingle, if you are in Lamont, you need to be taking the storm very seriously. It's got a history of producing that damage. And I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this this tornado that is on the ground right now. And it's going to go out. It will go out about a half hour from now. And it will be in Lamont itself right around 8:27. And it'll be heading toward Bellevue at about 8:44. So luckily not a lot of towns are showing up. So that means that this is going over rural area, which is good news. But Zwingle is one of those smaller towns that this tornado is directly over right now. Speaking of Highway 61 down toward Otter Creek, I just got an update there to that tornado warning. I'm going to go back to the radar and see if it is still being observed. And it is still being observed. And I'm going to actually get some more information for you. But this tornado near Zwingle right now is being observed. And it's had a history of doing damage right around Bernard and Gary Owen, which is in northern portions of Jackson County. This latest update from the National Weather Service has this located over Zwingle, 15 miles south of Dubuque, heading east at 30 miles per hour. So Zwingle, hopefully you have been in shelter really for the last half hour to 45 minutes, as we have been mentioning tirelessly that this tornado was going to be heading your way. And there we go. We still have that rotation right over Highway 61 and Zwingle. So again, as we're zooming in tighter here on Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar, we're not getting many roads, we're not getting many towns, so that does indicate this is moving over a rural area. But right now it is directly over Highway 61, directly over Zwingle, and directly over Washington Mills Road. This is doing damage. It has had reports of knocking down power lines, knocking down trees, as well as destroying buildings. So this is a very serious situation as this storm now tracks out of Dubuque County into portions of Jackson County. So since the storm is still observed, we are going to stay on the air with you. This warning does expire at about 8:30, but with that being an observed tornado, I am sure that this is going to get extended just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and do another area-wide zoom because I know there's a lot of ongoing storms, and many of you tuning in are probably wondering what's going on. The good news that severe thunderstorm warning for portions of Buchanan, Benton, and Lynn County has been allowed to expire, but there is still a healthy line of storms that is tracking off to the southeast toward Cedar Rapids. So I'm going to go ahead and do a quick track on this, and then we'll get you back to that tornado warning. Anamosa, you're noticing the skies darkening off to your north and northwest. Stay inside. This storm is heading your way. In fact, it'll be in Anamosa at about 8:35, Marengo at 8:36, Tucker Park at 8:41, and Cedar Rapids itself right around 8:46. So again, with this, we could see 40-mile-per-hour wind gusts, some very heavy rainfall, as well as some lightning with this as well. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to our tornado warning here. Again, this tornado polygon has been trimmed just a little bit as the strongest part of that storm continues to move out of Zwingle and heading toward Lamont. So Lamont, if you are watching right now, if you are listening, stay in your shelter place. It does look like this is going to pass maybe a little bit south, but that doesn't really matter. Just stay in your shelter place because this could have debris flying a little bit farther. So right now it looks like just again right over Zwingle or just to the southeast. That's where we do have that tornado that has been reported as doing some damage, and it is going to continue to track off to the east and southeast at about 35 miles per hour. So again, I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this. And And again, the good news is that this is going over a rural area, likely going to be hitting some farmland. So luckily not going to highly populated areas, but if this holds together, it will be near Bellevue right around 8:48 as it crosses the Mississippi River into Illinois. So again, this has been history over the last 20 minutes or so of producing damage in southern portions of Dubuque County as well as into northern portions of Jackson County as it continues to track off to the east and southeast. South of there, around Otter Creek, you're likely getting in on some really gusty wind. We had reports of this wind in Cascade around 50 to 60 miles per hour. So in this area, just west of Highway 61, that's where we're likely seeing that damaging straight line wind. But again, where we are seeing that tornado, that is just to the north of Otter Mills near the Lamont area, tracking off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So we're going to continue to be with you here over the next several minutes. I'll see if this warning gets extended a little bit. But that radar just got updated here, and again, looks like right over Lamont or just to the south is where we do have that tornado right now that continues to be observed by emergency management.
I've not gotten any other reports. That's the only thing that we've seen so far, is that when it comes to photos from viewers or storm spotters in that storm as it continues to move eastward. So not looking at much new information regarding, well, as I speak.
Yeah, we just had an update.
There we go.
We got the tornado over Lamont, 12 miles southwest of Galena, moving east at 35 miles per hour.
There you go. So there is new information now.
There is new information now. This is still a tornado warning that is in effect, and this is a new warning that goes until 9 o'clock here for Jackson County. And again, this is an observed tornado that is heading off to the east at about 35 miles per hour. So this does include Bellevue now. This does include Lamont. These are cities that we have been talking about tirelessly here over the last several minutes. So to review here about this observed tornado, at 8:10, emergency management reported the tornado caused structure and power line damage near McDevitt Lane along the Dubuque and Jackson County border, right there around Bernard. So again, we'll take you back here and show that we do have a history of rotation. And I really don't like when this happens, but we have to take you wide here because we have a new tornado warning now in effect for portions of Keokuk as well as Washington County. This is a storm that we've been watching pretty closely, and it looks like that rotation is just going to be to the south of Keota. So if you're in Keota, if you're in Washington, Westchester, do take shelter immediately, as we do now have a tornado warning in effect. And this area has been getting hammered with some heavy rain and potentially some hail up to the size of quarters. I'm going to go ahead and put a track on this as well. This continues to move off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. This is right along Iowa 77 heading toward Highway 1 and eventually Highway 218 towards Ainsworth. And I am going to extend this a little farther out of the polygon just in case that this does continue to hold its strength and continue to indicate the potential for that tornado. As you can see there, the source is radar indicated, so this particular one has not been observed like the one in Jackson and Dubuque County, but Westchester need to be in your shelter place right now. We've got around 8:40 that storm will be right overhead. Sunset Park at 8:50. Washington, the city itself, right around 8:52. Mar Park at 9:02, and then Ainsworth, like we were just saying, that'll be just after the 9 o'clock hour. So right now we do have two tornado warnings in effect. The first one that we've been talking about is an observed warning, and I'm going to go ahead and zoom out here and show you that one because that one is of concern right now. And what I'm going to do is pull it up on pull the other warning up on our Max 2, our other computer, because that is going to be very helpful when we have two warnings ongoing. Not a very good situation here with that potential of a tornado in portions of Washington and Keokuk County, as well as portions of Jackson and Dubuque County. So we're on Max 1 here. So again, Dubuque County in the clear as far as the tornado goes, but still seeing some heavy rain and some lightning in Bernard, where we already have the damage. And by the way, we've had reports of power lines down. If you ever come across a down power line, contact the police immediately, contact the energy company. You never want to touch it, never want to cross it with your tires or your car, I should say, because you never know if those are live, and those could lead to electrocution, and we definitely do not want that. So again, this tornado has been observed near Lamont and continues to track off to the east at about 30 miles per hour. So it looks like just east of Lamont is where we have that tornado. I'm zooming in here, and the good news is it's in a more rural area. We're not seeing any streets pop up. So this is likely just to the east of Lamont, right where I have circled. That's where we do have that tornado that has been observed and has had a history of doing some damage. So again, we do have some power line safety tips here on Max 2. You want to stay at least 30 feet away from down power lines. You want to be sure to report down power lines to your utility company immediately. So if you do come across it, don't try to go touch it. Don't try to cross it with your vehicle. You might think that it's going to be able to go through it and be durable. That's not the case. You just never know if those are live. So again, if you never touch a down power line as well, I mean, this almost sounds obvious, but unfortunately we always hear of some people getting electrocuted because of the fact that they think that the power lines are down, so the power must be turned off. So again, we have had a history of that being reported in portions of Dubuque as well as Jackson County. Looks like we do have a visual of a wall cloud on that Washington County storm. So that's kind of the precursor to a potential tornado. So we will get an update on that here momentarily. This is Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in on Washington County right now. Looks like this storm is just exiting Kiel County, just to the south of Kiel and heading toward Washington County. Not only are we concerned about the potential of a tornado, but there could also be a little bit of hail in this as well. I'm going to go ahead and put cursor over this blue area, which does indicate the potential of penny to quarter size hail. But of course, the main concern here is going to be the potential of a tornado. We'll go ahead and pull up the velocity on this one. This is a little farther from the radar site in Davenport, but you can see that there's not really any clear indication of that that green and that red coming together. But I think just right around Highway 92, this is probably the area where we are seeing the rotation right now as we speak. So if you are in Washington, this is heading right your way. So you want to seek shelter immediately. Westchester, stay in your shelter place. This tornado warning does continue until 9 o'clock this evening. So this is for portions of Keokuk as well as Washington County. I'm getting some reports here of, again, some rotation within this storm in portions of Washington County. And if we can go ahead and switch back to Max 1, I do want to show you the updated rotation here. Looks like it's just to the west of Bellevue. So if you are in Bellevue, right along Highway 52, or know someone in Bellevue, give them a heads up that this tornado is heading their way. Again, this has been the observed tornado from the National Weather Service that has had a history over the last half hour of producing some damage near Bernard, as well as Gary Owen there in portions of Jackson County. And that storm in Washington County has the potential to produce some quarter-size hail, as well as the potential of a tornado near the Westchester areas where we did get a report of a wall cloud. So we'll go ahead and switch back to that storm on Max 2. And where you're seeing that pink shading, that's where we're likely seeing some hail snack.
Yeah, you're going to get some large hail there. It's going to be just south of Westchester, heading straight towards Washington. So those that are in the Washington area, you've got your rain falling right now, or rain increasing in intensity, and this will continue to track off towards the east. So within the next 10 minutes maybe or less, you could see some large hail, at least potential for some half-inch diameter size hail at a minimum, and then could be as large as 1 inch in diameter, so about the size of a quarter, as it continues to move in the easterly direction. Now keep in mind there is a potential for a tornado within this, but this is radar indicated, so at this point there's no confirmation of this, and really the circulation inside when it comes to this tornado is not as impressive as the one farther to the north and east that has produced the damage in and around Bernard area, and that continues to move to the southeasterly direction. This one in Washington County, the tornado warning is in effect until 9 o'clock, so it's about a 25 more minute time frame. This is radar indicated, no confirmation again at this point. Washington, Westchester, Grace Hill, north of Grace Hill, between Grace Hill and Westchester is where that storm will be moving right on through. We'll move it back and forth so you can see the movement of that and where the storm has been heading. There's been a little bit of a weakening, but not very much. Very heavy rain with this storm, lots of lightning, as well as the potential for some hail. Yes, some gusty winds, but that's not the main concern. The main concern would be the large hail with this storm as it starts to approach those in and around Washington. So be prepared for that. Stay away from any windows. I don't want to have hail go through the window and you get injured by the broken glass. So please be careful when it comes to that, Kyle.
And that line of storms with the tornado on Max 1 continues to track off to the east and southeast. So we've kind of given you a wide view and shown you the last hour loop. Again, these storms are moving 35 to 40 miles per hour. Maquoketa about to get some damaging wind, potentially up to 60 miles per hour. The tornado warned part of the storm is in the northern portion of Jackson County. So right around Bellevue, need to be taking shelter immediately. We just have your general strong storms that continue to track through the Cedar Rapids area right now, especially on the northwest side of town. I'll go ahead and put a track on this part of the storm because this is affecting many of our viewers here as you head into portions of Johnson and Cedar County. These are moving again at about 40 miles per hour. So Anamosa heads up at about 8:39 here, just a couple of minutes. You're likely going to see the wind pick up as well as get some heavy rain. Prairie High School, 8:49. Mount Vernon, 8:59. Solon, as we're heading into Johnson County, at 9:14. Loudon at 9:32 in Cedar County and 9:36 right around Tipton. We'll keep a close eye on these storms as well because, again, they're very near that cold front. So these could potentially produce some hail or some damaging wind gusts up to 60 miles per hour here as we head throughout the next several minutes. So we're going to continue to keep an eye on that storm as well. And then I want to go back south to the Washington storm again. That tornado warning is radar indicated and is heading right toward Washington. So if you're in Washington and Westchester, I need you to be in your shelter place and stay there here at least until 9 o'clock. If this storm's not producing a tornado, it is likely producing, as Schnack mentioned, some pretty large hail, maybe up to the size of some quarters, enough to do some damage, as well as that potential for a tornado, which right now, again, as we've been mentioning, the rotation does not look as impressive, but if I were to pick out an area right now, it'd just be south of the Westchester area. So just west of Highway 1 heading toward Washington. That's where we do have that potential of a tornado. Again, this is radar indicated as well as producing some really, really heavy rainfall as well. And you can see that area of pink right there. That's likely where we are seeing that hail. Again, that could be up to the size of quarters. And that is heading right toward the city of Washington. So, again, these storms do mean business as they continue their southeastward trek. And I wanted to go ahead and pull this radar out a bit. You can see that the rain is now starting to wind down in Dubuque and Manchester, but it continues to be an issue here as you head into portions of Cedar, Lynn, and Johnson County. Looks like that tornado warning in Jackson County has now just been radar indicated, so that's good news. There's not a confirmed observed tornado anymore, but there is still some rotation on the radar. This is just north of Maquoketa. If you are watching from Maquoketa, you're likely getting some pretty strong wind right now. The rotation, again, is very broad, but it is heading right toward the Bellevue area. So if you are in Bellevue, pretty much right along Highway 52, that's where we're seeing a little bit of rotation here within the clouds, and that is going to be producing that potential of a tornado. And again, this has had a history of producing that tornado, Shaq.
Yeah, let's go over to, it'll be Max 2 here. And you see the big picture of the storms that are rolling through, but something that's looking at some very heavy rain is around the Cedar Rapids area in through Lynn County. Now, this is the last of the storms, so once these pass on by, we will be in the clear here. And there's a live picture of Cedar Rapids, of the heavy rain falling as the storm rolls on into the area. So expect some gusty winds out of this, as well as some beneficial rain. But this won't last very long as it sweeps on through. Once it does sweep on through, that should be it for the rest of the night, and the weather should be a little bit quieter now. So it's all part of that line of thunderstorms that will continue to track off towards the south and east. You can see the movement of these storms as they move southeastward. Everything to the west of where you see all the thunderstorm activity, all is in the clear. There have been some reports. We're watching up here. Up into parts of northeast Iowa and southwestern Wisconsin. There have been a couple of reports of funnel clouds in southeastern Minnesota. So wouldn't be surprised that you may see a brief funnel cloud here out of any of these little showers that pop up in Winneshiek and Alameda counties. But these are the ones that are not expected to reach the ground. They usually come out halfway down out of the cloud base. They last very long. Very rarely do they touch down. But something we'll continue to monitor because we have had some reports in southeastern Minnesota of some funnel clouds based on some of these showers here. So these will be also something we'll watch. The heaviest the rain now south of Dubuque. Then the storm, tornado warning northwest of the Bellevue area. That continues at this hour as the storm now starts to cross over the Mississippi River here and moves into Illinois. Still have that severe thunderstorm warning around the Maquoketa area. This is for hail up to about 3/4 of an inch in diameter. With this, let's rephrase that. We're about 3/4 of an inch in diameter, with the main threat being the damaging wind of up to 70 miles per hour. Back down to the south here, we still have this tornado warning, still radar indicated. I'll stop this here for a second. Notice it's weakened a little bit as well. So the purple coloring in there, that's typically where we see hail up to 1 inch diameter or larger, and that seems to be waning. So that is good news. Beneficial rains, yes, but as for the threat for hail, that seems to be diminishing a bit, as well. Again, not a whole lot in the way of circulation with this storm in Washington County, heading into Washington. And you can see the storm heaviest of the rain just now approaching Washington and just off towards the west. And this will continue to move toward the easterly direction this morning, in effect for about another 15 more minutes, with the main threat being hail out of this storm at this point.
And we will continue to be on air until the threat for tornado has ended there for Washington County. And we continue to track that tornado warning in portions of Jackson County as well. We'll go ahead and go back to Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar on Max 1. The good news, looking at the rotation, it would be right over Bellevue, right over the Mississippi River there along Highway 52. I'm not seeing that tight couplet that we were seeing a little bit earlier, but there's some broad rotation still, just not as tight right over Highway 52. So that tornado warning does continue here for about 15 more minutes, but this particular part of the storm will be crossing the Mississippi River here very momentarily, and that threat here for Iowa at least will be done with. But into Maquoketa, Jackson County, that's where we have that really strong wind as well. If you're watching us from Monticello and Cedar Rapids down toward Fairfax, Newhall, you are getting some really heavy rain as this continues to track off to the southeast here at about 30 miles per hour. So we'll put a quick track on that. This could clip the north side of the Iowa City area if it does hold together, but this will be around Coe College at 8:43, so pretty much right over Cedar Rapids right now. Swisher at 8:58, Mount Vernon at 9 o'clock, Mechanicsville at 9:09, and then around North Liberty and Tipton at just around 9:15, so that's about a half hour from now. So we continue to track these line of storms that are not severe but could contain some very heavy rainfall and some gusty wind, and we also continue to track that tornado warning here for portions of Washington County. Go ahead and switch over to Max 2 if we could, please. And we'll zoom right on into Washington. And that is where we do have some heavy rain falling right now. And actually, we'll just stick here with Max 1, and I'll zoom into that storm for you. Again, that radar indicated tornado does continue until 9 o'clock, at least the warning for it. We have had some spotters on this storm, and fortunately, there is not a tornado observed at the moment. But we have had some half-dollar size hail, as well as some very heavy rainfall, and there was a little bit of rotation earlier observed near Westchester, but right now it does look like we're not seeing any reports of an actual tornado that is being observed. But Washington is going to get the brunt of this storm, especially there on the south side of town. Grace Hill just took a direct hit with likely a little bit of hail. So if you live along Wayland Road, South Airport Road, you're going to get hit with some heavy rain and potentially a little bit of hail as well. Schnack, do you have any more information?
I do not have any more information. Just the camera's looking at Cedar Rapids. If we punch that back up again.
Yeah.
That's getting pretty, it's still pretty dark there. It's the heavy rain. This is a live picture from our tower camera. This is looking towards the north and west as the storm rolls on into the picture here. And it's producing some very heavy rain at this hour, as well as some gusty winds. I wouldn't be surprised there. Keep in mind, it still should be a little bit light out, not as dark as it is there. And we are looking at very heavy rain. Traffic moving smoothly, but probably a little bit slower with that heavy rain. Ponding on the road is expected. We'll expect maybe some of the gutters to not take the water as fast as it would like, but it shouldn't last too much longer because the storm or this line continues to move fairly quickly off towards the south and east. So you got the heavy rain in and around Lynn County there, Cedar Rapids. I want to show you the radar, just a little bit tighter shot of the radar as it moves on through. So there it is in Cedar Rapids. The storm is just now pushing on through, and Center Point already in the clear. New haulage rain should be ending here pretty shortly, but what you just saw on the camera in Cedar Rapids is heading towards Lisbon, over towards Olin, Clarence, and probably just north of Solon, it looks like, at this point for that. But down to the south, we have this thunderstorm near Williamsburg, so that same kind of thing that's up in Cedar Rapids. The same look that we saw on the camera is the same thing that's probably going to be happening around the Williamsburg to North English area with these thunderstorms as they move on through.
And luckily, that is still a radar-indicated tornado, as you can see there on your screen. And there's still the potential for some quarter-size hail there in Washington. So right now, the strongest part of that storm is just west of Washington and west of Highway 1. And as Shaq mentioned, we're likely seeing some really torrential rain with this. And within that rain, likely some hail and potentially a little bit of rotation. But the latest velocity scan is not too impressive, which is obviously some great news, not indicating that we do have that rotation. And we don't really see any red on this latest scan, but that tornado warning nonetheless will continue here until about 9 o'clock, so about 13 more minutes or so. So we will be on air with you until that threat has ended. Ainsworth, maybe Crawfordsville, that's where we are going to see that potential for some gusty wind as well as heavy rain and hail. This will eventually head off to the east on Highway 92 toward Columbus Junction, just outside of our viewing area. And Washington, unfortunately, you might not be done with the rain and storms yet, as we have that activity here just east of Montezuma, right around Williamsburg. Continues to track off to the east and southeast in the portions of Iowa, Keokuk, and Washington County. So again, these storms have a lot of moisture to work with, so they're dropping some torrential rain, but unfortunately we've had a little rotation in these that has brought us the concern of potentially a couple of tornadoes. So again, we do have that tornado warning that continues for Washington County until 9 o'clock, and we do have that tornado warning continuing for portions of Jackson County until 9 o'clock as well. That particular storm not producing a tornado right now, but we did get that report of a tornado that did damage right around Bernard a little bit earlier this evening, and we did get several reports of some power lines down, some buildings that had been damaged as well. So, in fact, we'll pull up that picture right now on Max 2. This is from Sabra Lyons. This is the tornado in Bernard. This was spotted a little bit earlier, just after 8 o'clock, and emergency management did report some power lines down in northern Jackson County and right around the Bernard area. One of our reporters is heading there, and hopefully we have some more information for you on the KWWL News at 10. But there has been some report of damage. We've not gotten any word of any injuries, but definitely some buildings that have been damaged and some power lines that have been downed as well from that tornado that did move through. But again, that tornado is not being observed on the ground right now, but it is still radar indicated as it crosses the Mississippi River. So really our main concern right now is the storm in Washington County. We're taking another look at Storm Track 7 live Doppler radar. And good news, as it moves into Washington, the storm has kind of shrunk a little bit, so it's weakened just a bit. But right along Highway 1, we are getting some torrential rainfall. There might be a little bit of hail with it as well, but you can see that hail signature just to the southwest of Washington. That little gray blip there right around Grace Hill, that would indicate probably some pea-sized hail. So we're not really seeing this storm. It looks like it's collapsing just a bit, so it's not able to produce that hail like it was a little bit earlier. Again, we did get some quarter to half dollar size hail. That was reported west of Washington a little bit earlier, but luckily we're not getting those hail reports right now. But again, that tornado warning does last for another 10 minutes, and we are going to be with you until this warning expires. But as of right now, it does not appear that we are going to see this warning, at least for a tornado, get extended, because if we look at the velocity once again, we do not see much going on. Shaq?
Well, there's the warning for Washington. That's gonna expire here, so that's gonna get canceled here a little sooner. That is the one that's going to disappear. Again, there hasn't been a whole lot in the way of circulation associated with this storm. Initially maybe, but it hasn't really produced a whole lot in that area. And the one farther to the north and east, that one, the bulk of the storm is probably now east of the Bellevue area, or pretty at the edge of Bellevue, pretty much right along the Mississippi River or just to the east of the Mississippi River. So the threat for that also diminishing very quickly for our coverage area. So we'll probably be able to go back to regular scheduled programming by the time we get to 9 o'clock, if not sooner.
All right, yeah, that sounds good. And, you know, luckily that severe thunderstorm warning as well, as we mentioned, that storm in Washington pretty much collapsing, that warning is also going to be set to expire. That initial severe thunderstorm warning did get turned into that tornado warning. But again, you can see that we still have a pretty healthy line of storms pretty much right along Highway 151 from Monticello through Anamosa down toward Marion and Cedar Rapids, and even heading into portions of Benton County. It looks like the heaviest of the rain is just going to stay north of Iowa City, and I know a lot of you hoping for some rain. I just wish that it could have come without that severe weather and unfortunately that tornado that we do have in Bernard. And again, we do have a crew that is heading there right now. You know, where we did get some report of some damage in portions of southern Dubuque County as well as into portions of northern Jackson County. So again, these severe thunderstorms are winding down. Again, really heavy rain is going to be the primary threat coming out of here right now. But again, we don't have any flash flood warnings because the ground has been so dry, and luckily it's able to handle this rainfall. In fact, if we switch over to our Max 2 machine, we'll be able to see some of those estimated rainfalls. And you can see that we do have that red shading right around Manchester, just south there of Highway 20. Right around Ryan, anywhere from 2.5 to potentially 4 inches of rainfall as those storms have moved through. So this will likely get a dent in the drought monitor, which is some good news, but unfortunately, you know, we just had a little bit of severe weather to go with this as well. Real quick, I want to go back to Max 1 and give you one last look at the radar, because we are not getting much in the way of reports of any damage out of Washington County. Again, that warning is expected to expire here in about 7 minutes or so. But we did just get a report about 4 minutes ago at 8:49 of some pea-sized hail in Washington. So luckily it's not the severe hail that we were dealing with a little bit earlier. As we've been mentioning, it's been going down just a bit as far as the intensity of this storm, but it still means business. So if you are in Washington, just go ahead and stay in your shelter place. And Mark, what do you think? Wrap up coverage right now? Since we don't have any new information to bring you and our warnings are set to expire. We will take you back to regularly scheduled programming. As I mentioned, we do have a crew that is heading on the way to Dubuque County and into Jackson County to survey that damage near Bernard of that tornado that was reported by emergency management, and we hope to have more information for you coming up on the KWWL News at 10 in just about an hour. In the meantime, you can get weather updates anytime at kwwl.com. Stay safe.
This has been a Storm Track 7 Severe Weather Alert. For more on current conditions, go to kwwl.com.